Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Virtual Motorsport Series. You join us this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you're watching in the world. We are here just outside the capital city of Qatar, Lusail, at the International Lusail circuit. Obviously most known for MotoGP racing, which is why we have this fluid, kind of fast, high-speed track layout. But we're here this evening for another round of the BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split, as I believe we've got 8 Hypercars and 9 GT3s at the moment taking to the track, ready for round number 6 of the Silver Split this season. I'm joined in the commentary box this evening by Daniel. Daniel, how are you doing, mate?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, thank you, Ollie. I'm doing great. I'm looking forward for the race. It's going to be a thrilling one.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does look like we're going to have a very good race here. We're just coming to the end of practice, but it shouldn't be too long until we get going. Just a couple of facts about the track, in fact. The lap length is 5.4 kilometers, but we're going to get into the Hypercar standings. At the moment, it's Matteo Bassan topping the tables with 141 points. He has been absolutely dominant. Won last time out at the Circuit de la Sarthe Le Mans endurance round. He's followed by Nicholas Ulrich in the number 8 Toyota on 75 points, with Andrea Previato in the 51 Ferrari on 63 points. It is a close fight up there for that final promotion spot, with Mathieu Bouquet having a strong showing last time out on 56 points in the only Alpine in the field. Rasmus Andreasen is in 5th on 52 points. He could also have a shot at that top 3, but isn't here this evening. Philip Schlichting in the 51 Ferrari is on 42 points in 6th. Robin Deschamps in the number 50 Ferrari in 7th on 33 points. Sharing 31 points is Giacomo Teixeira and Stanislas Pajot in the 94 Peugeot and number 7 Toyota, respectively, with Mohamed Colombo breaking into the top 10 for the first time this season in the number 7 Toyota. Just outside that top 10 is Paolo Ortu on 21 points. He'll be fighting to get into that top 10 and retain his seat for next season. He's followed by Chris Stoltz on 20 points, as that battle for the top 10 is really, really heating up. The number 51 Ferrari is being driven by the Mattia Previato, the other of the Previato brothers. He sits on 16 points at the moment in 13th place in the standings. Filippo Cogolo is in 14th in the number 15 BMW on 3 points, with the number 20 BMW being driven by Aurelian Pellicore in 15th on 2 points. And rounding out at the bottom of the grid is Stefan Köhler in the second Alpine. I did forget about that second Alpine, that's my bad. And Michel Balian in 17th, both on 0 points so far this season. But let's get in to Hypercar qualifying just after we take you through the LMGT3 standings as well. Oh no, I think we are going to go. How long have we got? Have we got enough time? Yeah, we've got enough time. So in first place, I think we are going to see the LMGT3 qualifying first. We should be switching over any second now. There we go. So it is going to be qualifying for the LMGT3s first. As we see them rolling out of their pit garages down towards the end of the pit lane, which at the moment is closed, but will be open very, very shortly. If you are new to VMS, we run a 25-minute qualifying. Each class only has 10 minutes of that time, well, 10 minutes plus the time needed to finish a valid lap. So these LMGT3s have from 25 minutes on the clock to 15 minutes on the clock to start a valid lap. If you have started a valid lap before that 15-minute kind of marker hits, then you are absolutely allowed to finish the lap that you are on. So if you cross the line with 15 minutes and 1 second left on the clock, you can do that next lap, and it is a valid qualifying lap. But once that 15-minute marker has been and gone, you are not allowed to start a new lap. You can only finish one. Then with 11 minutes left to go, the pit lane opens for the Hypercars, so our Hypercar field will roll out onto track as well. Massive snap for LMGT3 Championship leader Davide Canton there, coming out of the, I believe that was turn 3. It's really difficult to tell around here at Qatar. All of these corners look very similar. This is turn 6 he's coming through now, so that must have been turn 4. He had the snap at the double right-hander. So 11 minutes left, the Hypercar pit lane opens. They will roll out and wait. and then they get the final 10 minutes of the session. And in a very similar manner, as long as you start your final valid lap with something more than 0 seconds left on the clock, then you can absolutely finish it, and it will count as long as you, of course, keep within the track limits, which could be a contentious subject around here this evening. Qatar, obviously a track with a lot of high-speed corners, and these track limits, they can be quite harsh. The drivers only have 3 points to play with. Daniel, do you think there's a chance that we might see someone racking up at least close to, if not possibly getting a drive-through around here at Qatar this evening?
Yeah, for sure. I think DTs and in general penalty points will be a big point around this track. Also in the sprint race, everyone is pushing all the time, so I think it's going to be a big topic. The whole track limit and penalty points topic is going to be very big this evening.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was saying, and as you echoed, the kind of high-speed pushing nature of this track really tempts those cars wide. In fact, you can see where the lines have been redrawn on the exit of a couple of corners. That's actually thanks to the largest global motorsport, Formula One, which obviously has been racing here since 2021, 2022?
2021, and then from 2023 till present.
Yeah,
so they get a break.
Yeah, so where these lines have been pushed back, you can see on corner exit some of the lines have been pushed back. That is purely because of F1 wanting to allow the cars to go faster through the corners. So you can thank F1 for where you can see these kind of half lines, which is in all fairness, a really nice detail here in Le Mans Ultimate, because you can still see these on the track where the track limits have been pushed kind of away. Further away from where they were previously, that you can still see where the old paint was when you were driving around the track. And we're now on board with Davide Canton, who is currently driving around the track, and driving around the track rather quickly, it has to be said. Fastest first sector at the moment for Davide Canton. Obviously, he is the first man out on track, so he's the first one to cross through that sector one timing beam at any kind of speed. But it is looking very comfortable for Davide Canton at the moment. What I will say is that just at the tail end of practice, which you guys didn't get to see the results for, because we obviously come straight into qualifying after our little intro spiel, is that Johan Evora, who Julian, our broadcast director, following where my train of thought was going before I could even get the words out of my mouth, Johan Evora was actually the fastest man on track in practice for the LMGT3s, which is a massive turn of fortune for him. Johan Evora has really struggled in that Porsche so far this year, as have all Porsche drivers across any level of the Virtual Motorsport Series. But the latest BOP changes means that car is now back and competitive again. The Porsche now one of the favoured cars, not necessarily the most favoured cars, as it's a 57.855 over the line for Johan Evora on his first flying lap of the session. But it is a stronger car, a far stronger car than it was before. The most favoured now does tend to be the Ferrari. You'll see a lot of people picking up the Ferrari GT3, as Robin de Poirot has a relatively tidy lap, but it's only a 2:06, massive loss in the middle sector, but he was fastest overall in the final. And he's been beaten by, that'll be Jean-Baptiste Thomas in the other number 82 Corvette. The only two Corvettes in the field, and they managed to pick the same livery. As we keep waiting for lap times to come through, I'm assuming that Davide Canton has invalidated his lap somewhere, because his time hasn't come through. But we're watching along with Eric Nonemaker, who is in that Ferrari, although admittedly looks to be struggling with it. A lot of front end kind of wash out in the mid corner there, Daniel. I don't know if you picked up on that as well.
Yeah, it looks like he's struggling a lot in the high speed corners, and also just generally on the front axle. It doesn't look very tidy from where he's looking for. So I think also at this point in qualifying with this car and the setup, it may be an issue with track limits also, when the car is always understeering. You can't get as much rotation in it as you'd like to have it. So we look into it. I'm sure he will master it somehow, but I like to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Davide Canton, by the way. Oh, sorry. I appear to have just choked on air. I'm not really sure how that's happened, but Davide Canton on the run to the line. It is going to be fastest from Davide Canton. It's a 1:57.968. It's not fastest, sorry. I tell a complete lie. He was down in the middle sector, in the first and the middle sector, compared to Johan Evora. Gained time back in the final sector, but it's over a 10th away for Davide Canton. And I think, and I'm sure someone in a chat somewhere will correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that's likely the first time where Davide Canton's been in a qualifying session where he hasn't been the fastest man on his first flying lap. As Jean-Baptiste Thomas crosses the line, I think that lap went invalid at the very end there because it hasn't popped up for us. So Jean-Baptiste Thomas, like we say, invalidating somewhere in the final sector, which is where I'm expecting a lot of those track limit issues to come from. It's quite easy to pick up some front-end understeer, a problem that Johan Evora clearly isn't struggling with, a 10th faster than himself in the first sector. So he's a 10th up on his own time through that first sector as you ride on board on this Porsche 992 GT3 in this, we've got to admit, beautiful The Bend livery. I do like this kind of orange and black styling on this particular 91 Manthey Porsche. Out of turn number 10 through what is technically turn number 11, but I just count as the exit of turn number 10. And these corners here, these are the ones where I think we're going to have track limit issues, because it's quite easy to pick them up not only on the exit but also on the insides of the corners, because cutting as much of that inside curve as you can massively helps with the amount of speed you can carry, as Johan Evora is proving, as he goes 2.5 tenths faster than himself through the middle sector. But it's a snap of oversteer, massive tank slapper for Johan Evora on the exit of turn number 15 into the final corner. It's a wide entry, means you can get on the power as early as possible, nicely within the track limits there, and it is going to be faster than himself by Johan Evora. The question is by how much? Is it going to be a 56? I don't think it quite is. No, it's not. It's a 57.631. That is a quick time from Johan Evora. He's cut 2.5 tenths off of his own best lap time and keeps on pushing. That now puts him 3 tenths clear of Davide Canton, so it's about 2 tenths in fact that he's found, just over 2 tenths. And the rest of the field just doesn't seem to have an answer for the pace of Johan Evora and Davide Canton at the moment, it has to be said. Eric Nonemaker might be on a nice little lap here. We'll wait and see as he comes to the line. This is going to be a decent lap. It's going to be a 58. It's going to be a low 58 though, 58.4. That's going to put him straight up to 3rd place. 7 tenths off. And for Eric Nonemaker, that is a brilliant qualifying lap. Still got enough time for one final lap for Eric Nonemaker, and he's going to have to make it count. This could well be what I believe would be his best qualifying result of the season if he can qualify inside the top 3 here.
I think it's pole last in Le Mans.
Was it pole in Le Mans for Nonemaker?
I think it was. I think it was quite a stunner that he took.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh, and he won as well. I tell a complete lie. I'm so sorry. I've just lied the entire broadcast. Davide Canton didn't win last time out at all. He came 2nd. No, Eric Nonemaker. I completely forgot about that. I commentated on that race as well. That's really bad from me. I'm sorry, everyone. I probably made some like massive commentary bit as he crossed the line about winning for the first time in VMS, and yeah, clearly completely forgotten. It's been a long 2 weeks since then. In my defence, I've had a lot on. But yeah, my bad, Eric. I hope he's not watching the stream. Whoa! Round goes Jean-Baptiste Thomas in the number 82 TF Sport Corvette. That, I believe, up at turn 7. As Davide Canton has missed the time to start his final flying lap, but crucially put himself 2nd by 7 thousandths of a second. That is incredibly tight to the top of the LMGT3 field. Eric Nonemaker unfortunately doesn't look to be improving. About 6 tenths down. As things stand, it would take an absolutely monster final couple of corners here, clipping the gravel on the exit of 15 through 16. Clearly he thinks there might still be something in it, because he is still pushing on. Oh no, there we go, track limits on the exit of the corner. And Eric Nonemaker immediately knows he was over the line, cuts into the pit lane. And that is him done, I believe. And Jean-Baptiste Thomas following him in after having slightly spun. And there we go, Craig Foreman, the last man to cross the line, with Thibaut Texera not setting a qualifying lap this time out. So that is the grid set for LMGT3. And now that we've got just a couple of minutes, should we have a quick run through the LMGT3 standings so we can have a proper read through of them? Here we go. So the LMGT3 standings, Davide Canton leads the way on 87 points with Marco Galetti second with 84. Eric Nonamaker, that win last time out at Le Mans, has done massive bits for his championship. He's now on 71 points and in third position, looking to push towards that top two as he continues a string of relatively strong form. Jean-Baptiste Thomas in fourth has 64 points, and he's followed by Christophe Rappel, who won the early rounds of this season on 50 points. Aidan Russell was in amongst the top three almost every race, but has missed the last few rounds, meaning he's now in sixth on 46 points, with Eduardo Dorito in seventh on 38. Just 8 points behind is Mark Warmington, who had a brilliant result last time out at Le Mans, which has pulled him into the top 10 in the number 70 Inception Racing at McLaren. In ninth is Robin de Poiron with 26 points in the other number 82 TF Sport Corvette. And rounding out the top 10 is Thibaut Texera on 24 points, who is here this evening aiming to stay inside that top 10. Frank van Ginneken is on 17 points in 11th. He's here this evening and we'll be looking to gain some points on that top 10, if not break into it. Juan Viviers is in 12th with 14 points, and just behind him is the man who's just qualified on pole, Johan Avora, in the number 91 Manthey EMA The Bend Porsche, looking to break into that top 10 and retain his seat as the late season BOP changes benefit that Porsche massively. Luciano Achazzo is in 14th on 13 points as well, although he's not here this evening, so no points on the table for him. The number 44 Mustang of Cole Bradbury sits 15th on 12 points, with Craig Foreman just behind in the number 46 Team WRT BMW. He's on 8 points, but again, here this evening, with only 8 cars on the grid, looking to gain some points on that top 10 and potentially make some moves up the order. Sandis Satislevsky, unfortunately, isn't going to be making this evening's round either. He's on just the 1 point in the number 31 Team WRT BMW, and rounding out the 18-car grid is Lucas Lucht, who is the only non-point scorer so far in the BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split. Now let's hop back to the live action, as it's just 20 seconds until the hypercars come out into the pit lane. A field of Bouquet, Schlichting, Colombo, Ortu, both the Previatos, Ulrich and Bassan, and this could be really important. And the reason I'm saying that it could be really important is because I believe that there's only 1 or 2 points currently separating Paolo Ortu and Mohamed Colombo. So this could quite literally be the scrap for those two finishing inside the top 10. As, yeah, the 11-minute window ticks by, and here come all but, I believe, 2 of the hypercars. We've got 6 of the 8 currently rolling down the pit lane here at the Losail International Circuit. They will have to wait for about 40 seconds at the red light, although technically it's green, but they're not allowed to leave. Just need to wait on it to tick over. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that is the hypercar pit lane open, and they are allowed out onto track. That is Mohamed Colombo at the very front, wheel spinning out of the pit lane there, followed by standings rival Paolo Ortu in that kind of mid-table scrap in the hypercar field at the moment. Obviously, the Toyota has become a slightly more favourable car as of recently, Daniel. Do you think that that's going to play into Mohamed's favour here this evening, or do you think Paolo Ortu might have the chance here?
For sure, it's going to be easier for Colombo to keep up with Ortu's pace. But as we've seen in the previous rounds of this championship, Mohamed Colombo is always very likely to spin out in some places. So yeah, we will look into it, but I think the BOP changes will benefit him from to keep up with his rival Paolo Orto.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Mohamed Colombo will know that obviously this now matters quite a lot. But yeah, like you made reference to, Mohamed Colombo is prone to an accident here and there, so he'll be hoping that that doesn't come his way this evening as we rip around. In all fairness, a track where spinning is not necessarily out of the question, even in these incredibly capable hypercars, especially through the high-speed corners, which is obviously, like I've referenced already, what Qatar is mostly made up of. There is a real opportunity, even for these hypercars, to lose that rear-end grip and to go round them. Oh, as that was the number 83 of Paolo Ortu off in the background already. Coming out of turn 15 on his prep lap, Paolo Ortu has gone off. I'm not sure if that's been a full spin. It looked like it must have been, because he's come out far farther down than he was. As the two number 51, well, two of the three number 51. Oh no, that's all three of them in shot, just there for a moment. That's all three 51s of Matteo Bassan, Mattia Previato and Philip Schlichting in that frame all at once there. It's Mattia leading the way. Although I think he's still kind of on a half prep lap. Yes, indeed he is.
Yep.
Just got to wait for these hypercars to properly finish their prep laps, because these first qualifying laps won't be representative. And the reason for that is that these hypercars do take slightly longer to get their tyres into the kind of fully working window than the LMGT3s might do. The LMGT3s you can kind of push on that first hot lap and be relatively close to where your ultimate pace will be. When I say relatively close, you'll only find kind of 6 or 7 tenths of a second, whereas in these hypercars, if you push straight out the box kind of on that first hot lap, you'll still be likely to find over a second when the tyres come into the window. And all you're doing by pushing really hard on this first hot lap is kind of increasing the thermal degradation of these tyres, which is what the tyre compounds in WEC are actually all about. When you hear, soft, medium and hard tyre compound, we think about the absolute grip that it gives you. As Matteo Bassan has come into the pit lane. Why has Matteo Bassan come into the pit lane? He's followed by Paolo Ortu. That is really strange. Have they maybe both spun and are now changing tyres because they're flat spotted? Certainly looks like Paolo Ortu's doing a tyre change up on the jacks, back to the garage now. He'll put on a new pair of tyres and come pretty much straight back out, I would expect. As it's Mathieu Bouquet who's fastest by 7.5 seconds, but Mohamed Colombo, as we know, pulled out of his lap. We saw, I believe it was Nicholas Ulrich going past Mohamed Colombo. As Philip Schlichting goes just 5 tenths, almost 6 tenths behind Mathieu Bouquet so far. Just waiting for the lap times to come in. Nicholas Ulrich was massively up, but that was over the line. So I believe that this lap time will be invalidated for Nicholas Ulrich through turn 15. He'll keep the pace up because you want to keep the tyre temperatures in these tyres. But it's not going to be a record-breaking lap for Nicholas Ulrich. In fact, he's come into the pit lane as well. Are these drivers maybe struggling with their tyres overheating? So they're coming back to the garage to pick up new tyres because they're going outside of their thermal window on these hot laps. Could that be what's going on?
Maybe it would with this circuit, maybe. Yeah.
I think there could be a chance. Mohamed Colombo is currently fastest, but not for long, as Mathieu Bouquet crosses the line in the background, a shot there for a 1:40.158 to put himself half a second clear of the field. That means he gained 7 tenths on that lap. because he was about 2.5 behind when he started that one. That Alpine really working for Mathieu Bouquet at the moment, but there are still a lot of fast drivers yet to set a lap. As I say that, Andrea Previato fastest in the first sector, although I believe that only means that he's up on his personal best sector one time because of a slight bug in the WEC overlay that comes with or is usable with Le Mans Ultimate at the moment. About to cross the sector 2 timing line, which is just coming out of turn 10 through what's technically turn 11 but isn't a corner at all. There it is, 4/10 up on his own middle sector for Andrea Previato. Through these final sweepers, 12, 13 and 14, very reminiscent, well I say very reminiscent, likely inspired by the Triple Apex turn 8 from Istanbul Park, because that's one of the Toyotas off in the background. No points for anyone if that's Colombo. Across the line for Andrea Previato, and it's fastest. It's fastest by 0.6 of a second.
Oh, wow.
Brilliant lap for Andrea Previato, straight out the box. Because it's Mattia Previato who's set a lap time at the moment, 2.8 seconds down. So that was Andrea Previato's first and only push lap. And it means that he is up there on pole as things stand by almost 6.5 of a second.
Matthias flying also, I think. Looks like a decent lap, and it's 38.8.
Yeah.
Wow.
A brilliant lap time from Matteo Bassan. That's crazy. 7/10 clear of the field for Matteo Bassan. Really feels like he should have been in the gold split, I've got to admit. He has been absolutely dominant this season. There has not been a race that he hasn't won, I don't believe, in Hypercar. Which obviously the standings reflect. With the massive points advantage for Matteo Bassan, more than double the points of the second place Nicholas Ulrich at the moment. Through the penultimate corner now for Nicholas Ulrich, turn 15. Gosh, he is being aggressive on the inputs here, really late braking. Target time is a 38.8. It's not quite going to be that quick for Nicholas Ulrich, but it's going to be up there. It's going to be a 39, a low 39, 39.3. That's going to be second place for Nicholas Ulrich, and indeed it is. 44 seconds left on the clock. He's got one more lap if he wants it, and I believe he's got the energy for it. So Nicholas Ulrich, I believe, going again. Now, with the high-speed nature of this circuit, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me if there are some drivers who have done a couple of prep laps on almost no battery usage, and have then turned up the battery to like 120 kilowatts for their push lap and have just gone mental. Which, in all fairness, would likely be the strategy that would make sense, because you really want to get the most out of that battery deploy when you are in the car. And if you know that you can hook it together across one lap, there'd be no reason not to just throw the battery deploy up as high as possible, right? So Philipp Schlichting, I believe, yet to set a lap time. He may well have done 5th. Yeah, 5th means that I think he has. Yeah, 1.6 seconds off the pace at the moment for Philipp Schlichting. That's unlike him, it has to be said. As we've had another... Who's the hypercar that's joined since practice? Is it Was it Bouquet? Or was it... No, Pajot. Stanislas Pajot's just joined us. He wasn't here before. We only had one Toyota number 7. So Stanislas Pajot here late in the session to join the grid. Means it'll now be a 9-way hypercar fight for the win here. Mattia Previato coming through the final sector, but he's already invalidated due, as you can tell from the fact that there's no middle sector that's popped up there. And I think that's going to be hypercar qualifying over. And right at the end, Nicholas Ulrich went far faster, just 56 thousandths of a second behind Matteo Bassan. Almost 600ths. Philip Schlichting, unfortunately, has lost his lap to track limits in the middle sector as well. So that is going to be everything for qualifying here in round 6 of the BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split. So we will now have a quick look through the starting order for the race here this evening. We've got a 40-minute race coming your way here, sprint round in the Silver Split. And we will just get that ticking through any second now. Here we go. So on pole position is Matteo Bassan, being followed by second in the championship, Nicholas Ulrich in the number 8 Toyota. On the second row is Andrea Previato, followed by Mathieu Bouquet, who's fighting to stay inside that top 3 as well. Philip Schlichting will be starting in 5th with Mohamed Colombo in 6th, crucially ahead of Paolo Ortu, who is starting right behind him in 7th, alongside Mattia Previato in the number 51 Ferrari. Rounding out the hypercar grid is Stanislas Pajot, but on pole for the first time is Johan Evora in the number 91 Manthey EMA Racing Porsche, followed by Davide Canton, the championship leader, and Frank van Ginneken qualifying 3rd as he tries to break into the top 10. Jean-Baptiste Thomas qualifies in 4th in LMGT3, followed by Robin de Poiron in an all-Corvette row 7. Craig Foreman is going to be... That makes him 6th in class alongside... Well, I'm trying to do the maths, it's really difficult. As Eric Nanamaker rounds out the grid. So Craig Foreman was going to be alongside Thibaut Texera. There we go. So that is the grid, the starting grid for the 40-minute sprint race that we've got coming your way very, very shortly. VMS are massively proud to bring you in Season 2 the BPTuning Contender Series. BPTuning is a custom setup shop and coaching platform run by our very own Kieran Prendergast, who starts in who races in fact in the Platinum Split here in VMS. It is a custom setup shop for LMU, ACC and a couple of other sims, I believe, with the setups all hand developed by Kieran Prendergast himself and a couple of the team that he works with. You can also get one-on-one coaching with Kieran Prendergast himself, and you might want to get in on that relatively soon because I think he's going to be unavailable for that in a couple of months' time. So make sure to get in on that whilst you can. If you're looking to improve your pace across ACC, LMU, or I believe iRacing, those are open for you, and the link is in our bio. Make sure to head there and check it out. I can massively recommend working with Kieran. He's a brilliant racer and a brilliant setup builder. So make sure to check out bptuning.net. The link is in the description of this YouTube live video, or you can just search it in your Google bar, bptuning.net, for any custom setup needs on ACC or LMU. Less than a minute now until we get into the race, and there are some crucial battles that are going to be happening throughout the field here. We've already mentioned Paolo Ortu and Mohamed Colombo currently sitting 10th and 11th in the Hypercar Championship, and they're either going to be fighting to stay in the top 10 themselves or for both of them to move further up in the top 10 based on the fact that we've got a relatively thin Hypercar field here this evening. Mathieu Bouquet also fighting with Andrea Previato and Nicholas Ulrich for those final positions in the automatic promotion top 3, although Mathieu Bouquet, no, that's Andrea Previato, sorry, is yet to make it to the pit lane. I don't think Previato's made it to the starting grid. I think Andrea Previato has missed the start. No, he hasn't. Has he? Oh, he's made it. Oh, how has he made it? That was incredibly close. from Andrea Previato to make it to the grid. Here we go, the grid is now going to roll away for our rolling start. The grid being led by Matteo Bassan, the man who has absolutely dominated this Silver Split Championship this season. And leading away the LMGT3 field for the first time this season. A massive comparison compared to Matteo Bassan is Johan Ivora in that Manthey EMA, the Bend Porsche, which he, I'm sure, is going to be absolutely delighted about, is Johan Ivora. Something that could be absolutely crucial for his championship as he tries to get into the top 10. Here we go, round the final corner, turn 16. It's now a long front straight here on the run into turn 1. Waiting for the lights.
Green flag, green flag.
And we are underway for the 40 minutes of Qatar here in the Virtual Motorsport Series BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split. Nicholas Ulrich tucks in behind Matteo Bassan as Mathieu Bouquet looks to go all the way around the outside in his Alpine, and he's managed to get it done. That's an incredible move if he can hold it. Mathieu Bouquet on the exit of the corner, shown a little bit of hip and shoulder from Nicholas Ulrich, but everyone has kept it clean. I believe that was Mohamed Colombo trying to go for a move on one of the Previatos, and there's gravel being kicked up in the background. I think we might have lost a car. Are we short of a Toyota? I don't think we are, no. But Mohamed Colombo has fallen down the order. Johan Ivora holds the lead in LMGT3 ahead of Davide Canton. Crucial for him, as that is Jean-Baptiste Thomas who's moved up into third place ahead of Frank van Ginneken in the Ford Mustang. A brilliant start for Johan Ivora, already 6/10 up on Davide Canton, and it's similar out the front for Matteo Bassan, who already leads by almost a second ahead of Nicholas Ulrich in that number 8 Toyota GR010. Mathieu Bouquet has managed to hold on to a relatively decent position. He's lost one off the start, but that's okay. He's lost one, I believe it's to Andrea Previato. He's now got Mattia Previato right behind him, who's being hassled by, I'm going to assume, Mohamed Colombo in the blacked out number 7 Toyota. God, what a start. Absolutely action-packed. Indeed it is Mohamed Colombo, currently in 6th position. Johan Ivora still leading the field here. And I can tell you what, Davide Canton might have to watch out for Jean-Baptiste Thomas here. Jean-Baptiste Thomas is sticking with Davide Canton at the moment. That gap about 7/10 of a second compared to the now over a second that Davide Canton is behind Johan Ivora. And you've got to think that potentially, surely dirty air is playing into those gaps opening up through that final sector. Those final, well, I say final 3 corners, those penultimate 3 corners, turns 12, 13 and 14. Absolutely crucial for the front end downforce to kick in. So if you're following another car, it can be quite difficult, as I believe that is going to be Mattia Previato is currently finding out as he hounds Mathieu Bouquet. And I tell you what, this could be really handy, not only for Mattia Previato to get ahead of Mathieu Bouquet, but it could be really handy for Andrea Previato if Mattia can get ahead of Mathieu here, because Andrea and Mathieu are currently fighting for that 3rd place in the Hypercar standings and that guaranteed promotion spot to the Gold Split next season. So Andrea currently in 3rd, with Mathieu Bouquet just behind him. If Mattia Previato can get ahead of Bouquet, that is going to be a decent point swing in the favour of Andrea Previato as things stand. But we've got a long race coming here, still 36 minutes left on the clock, well, closer to 37. Plenty of racing action to come, and crucially for Mohamed Colombo, I think Paolo Ortu is now last in the Hypercar field, which means that Mohamed Colombo's 6th place will be a healthy amount of points for him in the championship standings to keep him inside that top 10. Although as much as I say that, I don't believe that Mohamed Colombo is going to stick with Hypercar next season anyway. I think if he, well, I say if he does race, he will race. I'm going to force him to. When he does race in season 3, I think it'll be in the LMGT3s, because he's fallen in love with the Ferrari 296. As there's more fighting going on, and Frank van Ginneken in the LMGT3 field has lost out now also to Robin de Poiron as Eric Nurnemacher has fallen down the order and Davide Canton's off. Where's Davide Canton gone? He's off the back. He's behind Frank van Ginneken. I don't know what has happened for Davide Canton there. We've missed it. I'm assuming it was a tank slapper moment coming through one of the high-speed corners, possibly a half spin. But Davide Canton has now dropped way down the order as Eric Nurnemacher and Robin de Poirot are fighting hip and shoulder down the front straight through turn 1. It's wide for Robin de Poirot. He rejoins, but Eric Nurnemacher sweeping around the outside at turn number 2 and ahead of the Corvette for P3 for Eric Nurnemacher. Davide Canton is now surely going to be looking to charge through the field as Johan Evora leads by 4 seconds already, and it's only been 5 minutes. That is absolutely ridiculous pace for Johan Evora in what is a massive turn of events for him. Leading this race, leading for, I believe, also the first time in VMS, let alone qualifying first. This is the first time he's led a race in the silver split, if my memory serves. So this is absolutely huge news for Johan Evora's season. These 25 points could be absolutely crucial for him, may even bring him into the top 10 already. We would have to wait and see. As now Robin de Poirot still all over the tail of Eric Nurnemacher. And Frank van Ginneken, you have to say, doing a rather good job of just holding up Davide Canton at the moment, preventing that kind of comeback drive from the championship leader. We will have to wait and see as this race continues whether Davide can start moving back through that field. And you've also got to start thinking about, we've already had a couple of drivers going off, a couple of drivers running wide, you know, picking up kind of tank slapper oversteer. Is there a risk already that drivers might be gathering up those track limit points, Daniel?
Really, yeah. I think with all the off that we've seen, Jean-Baptiste Thomas going off track as I believe at the exit of turn 1, if I'm correct. We've seen I think 2 or 3 hypercars already gone off, so I think it's going to be a crucial point. But these slight exits and off tracks are not going to play a crucial role. I think it's going to be these inside cuts at the last, I believe, 4, 12, 13 and 14, yeah, and 15. The last 4 penultimate corners where it's really going to be on track for those limits.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we just cut back to Davide Canton? Because I think I've been calling Craig Foreman Davide Canton. I have a funny feeling that Davide Canton, what I saw there, is actually in 8th. Indeed he is. Davide Canton all the way down in 8th. I do apologise. That means, so Craig Foreman in 7th. That means that it must be Thibaut Texeira that's behind Frank van Ginneken. I do apologise. I assumed that was Davide Canton. Davide Canton's had a far larger moment than I originally thought. Thibaut Texeira hassling Frank van Ginneken for the top 5, and Davide Canton now only into 7th. That must have been a major off-track moment for Davide Canton then. He's fallen far further down the order than I ever thought he did. Absolute disaster for Davide Canton. Thankfully, he has a relatively comfortable lead in the championship, and the second place driver is not here this evening. So he doesn't have to necessarily worry about losing a massive points, but surely this will be a little bit of a confidence hit for Davide Canton. He's been so comfortable so far this season, just able to drive at the limit and finish inside the top 3 at pretty much every race. And now, here in Qatar at the Sale, has had a massive moment off track, one has to assume, for him to end up down in 8th place. As there is a battle developing for second place in the LMGT3 field as well. Eric Nurnemacher just 0.6 of a second behind Jean-Baptiste Thomas. The interesting thing here is that the Corvette and the Ferrari, you would think are relatively similar cars, you know, both mid-engine, have that kind of low-cut, aggressive front end and the kind of higher rear wing, but actually have relatively dissimilar strengths, which means that we will see this gap ebb and flow as they go round the track. Also could obviously be related to setup work. If there's a little bit more of a kind of high speed focus in one car and a little bit more of a kind of cornering focus in another, you'll see that the gap will dip through the apex of every corner, as Nonamaka, for example, is faster through the apex speeds. But then when they get into anything where they're on the power, it then picks up again. As Eric Nonamaka surely was close to picking up a track limits warning on the inside there, which is exactly what my co-commentator Daniel was just talking about earlier as well.
And as we were talking about standings, I think as it stands, Nonamaha would be moving up to P2 in the standings, so he would, he would, if my math is correct, yeah, he would. So there's a lot to play on the standings as well in this race, with Nonamaka in P3 and Davide Canton in P7, if I'm correct, if nothing has changed.
Yeah, at the moment, still down there in P7. As Eric Nonamaka now hassling Jean-Baptiste Thomas, and Jean-Baptiste Thomas will want this P2 as well, because it could bring him closer to that top 3. That is definitely an inside cut from Eric Nonamaka there, and surely picking up some points there as we cross into the last 30 minutes of this race. 10 minutes down already, and it has been absolutely action-packed, and it doesn't look like that's going to be letting up any time soon, as this battle for second place in LMGT3 still roars on. Eric Nonamaka interestingly taking a wider entry into turn 1 there. I think that is him thinking about keeping his nose clean in terms of getting clean air onto that front splitter. As we see him taking a couple of different lines. He was slightly tighter through turn number 2 again, dipping that front end into the cleaner air that isn't being disrupted by the Corvette of Jean-Baptiste Thomas, and it appears to be working for him, Daniel.
Yeah, it is. It surely is. I think it's going to be it's going to be only a matter of time until Nonamaka is going to overtake him, because he's always looking for the inside, the outside. He's always moving at the back of Thomas, of Jean-Baptiste Thomas. So I think it's going to be a thrilling battle, which is evolving right now, as we see the Hypercars catch up with the GT3s.
Yeah, here we go, the lapping procedure going on, and this could be really, really difficult here, and could be a race-defining moment in a couple of battles. Mattia Previato almost having no choice but to follow Mathieu Bouquet through there, even if it was a little bit risky. He can't afford to lose the ground in this battle for 4th overall, in what again could be crucial for Mattia Previato's championship, as he looks to pick up as many points as he can. And that is going to be Andrea Previato getting caught up in between LMGT3s, although now Nicholas Ulrich suffers the same fate but gets through faster, and that gap could now be down below a second. It was momentarily, but I think they've been caught again. And that is Mathieu Bouquet getting stuck behind the LMGT3s, and has Mattia Previato's gone all the way around the outside. It's now a side-by-side fight between these two for P4 overall, covered by just 0.03 of a second across the line. Mattia Previato dipped back into the slipstream. Mathieu Bouquet cuts back across to the racing line into turn 1, and that was almost an incredible use of traffic by Mattia Previato. Almost went all the way around the outside whilst Mathieu Bouquet was stuck behind. There's contact between the two. Mattia Previato's off, Mathieu Bouquet's off in a bigger way, and I think Mathieu Bouquet has probably found his way all the way to the wall there. Is he in the wall below us? Indeed he is. I think that might be a retirement for Mathieu Bouquet. Massively unfortunate there. Mattia Previato was trying to find a way through any way he could. Mathieu Bouquet still sat there at the moment. I would expect possibly trying to get that engine turning over and turn back on.
And he's into the pits.
Yeah, into the pits. He's returned to the pit lane. Yeah, returned to the garage from the track, and that does mean, unfortunately, that his race is over.
Oh yeah. Nonamaka has gone up to P2, which I was already kind of predicting of. So yeah, that puts him in quite a nice position in terms of standings, with Marco Galetti missing out this round of the BPTuning Contender Series. So we look forward for this, but of course P1 is miles ahead of him with 10 seconds separating Evora and Nonamaka in this race as it stands.
Yeah, it is a massive lead for Johan Evora, you're absolutely right. An incredible race for Johan Evora so far. the first, I've got to say, you know, he's, oh, hello. This is going to be Mohamed Colombo trying to get past Mattia Previato into turn 1. He's managed to get that move done. Is he going to run too deep on the exit and maybe get switchbacked? No, he doesn't. Mohamed Colombo has managed to stay ahead, and I'm going to assume that this might be, back up the inside from Mattia Previato through the apex of turn 2. Through turn 3, Mohamed Colombo now with the inside line is ahead. I'm assuming that might be the damage to Mattia Previato that's causing the loss of pace there, because Mohamed Colombo had been falling away from both Mathieu Buquet and Mattia Previato before that contact had happened. So I have a funny feeling that might be damage related. I don't know about you, Daniel.
Surely it's gotta be. It was, I suppose, the right hand side. No, I don't know. I don't know, but it's crucial in this circuit with the front end plate being responsible for a lot of downforce. So yeah, I think it may play a major point into this overtake right here.
Yeah, I think it was mostly on that kind of front right corner where the damage will have been picked up for Mattia Previato. It was very much him trying to get up the inside, which obviously into a left-hand corner meant that it would have been his front right corner that caused the contact. As there's all sorts going on here, as Jean-Baptiste Thomas is now only 7/10 ahead of Robin de Poiron as well. And I believe that this has all been caused by being lapped by that'll be Stanislas Pajot and Paolo Ortu, who will now be running 7th and 8th, as off track for Robin de Poiron momentarily. Those off track moments not going to be helping Robin de Poiron at all, but somehow he's still closing in on Jean-Baptiste Thomas. That gap only 0.3 of a second as Davide Canton is back inside the top 5. He's got 24 minutes now to get as far up the grid as he can, and if these two continue to fight, you've got to think it might be quite easy for Davide Canton to close up to them. Mattia Previato is doing an okay job of sticking with Mohamed Colombo at the moment. Even with that damage, he's managing to stay behind the Toyota, but I have a funny feeling that might just be kind of the slipstream that's helping Mattia at the moment. I don't think he's actually necessarily faster or as fast as Mohamed, but obviously the slipstream that he'll be getting off of the back of that Toyota will be helping his wounded Ferrari stay up to pace, as it looks like, right as I was about to say, it looks like Robin de Poiron has got some damage on that front end. He goes for a spin, and that is going to help Davide Canton massively. He'll surely, if not get ahead, be right behind. There he is, Davide Canton at full racing speed. And Robin de Poiron now with overheated and likely flat spotted tyres. He's going to have to try and stay ahead of the BMW, who is on an absolute charge at the moment. Mattia Previato has got to watch out here. I don't know who that is that's behind. I think it might be Philip Schlichting. I'm trying to see what car number it is, but it's moving too quickly for me. Is it a 51? Yes, it is a 51. So it's got to be, it's got to be Philip Schlichting, because the two Previatos are in 2nd and 5th. So it is Philip Schlichting that is behind Mattia Previato. And even with the slipstream that Mattia Previato is getting, Philip Schlichting has a damage-free car, which is so much more useful and worthwhile than just having the slipstream that Mattia Previato has got with his wounded front end on that Ferrari 499P. You can see Philip Schlichting closing down that gap almost all the time, but just isn't able to get a move done at the moment. Oh, more contact! More contact for Mattia Previato, and it's sent him round this time. He's managed to recover it relatively quickly, but more contact involving Mattia Previato. And it's Philip Schlichting up into 5th, and also a yellow flag out on track at the moment. I'm not sure who that's for, although it has now disappeared. Have we lost anyone on the timing screens?
I don't think so, no.
So someone has lost time. The question is who? might have been Frank Van Ginniken again, as he's now dropped back down towards Thibaut Texera after these two were overtaken by Davide Canton. But I think that gap has stayed relatively consistent actually, because these two were fighting before Davide Canton's charge back through the field. And Eric Nonemaker, as he picks up probably more track limits warnings there, he's not been able to run away from Jean-Baptiste Thomas like we thought he'd be able to, Daniel.
No, he's not. He's always on the kind of in the back foot of Jean-Baptiste Thomas, so he's going to look out. And also with the as we see the track limits he's collecting in almost every second lap, it's going to be crucial at the end of this race. Who, as we see another supposed track limit, what was I saying? It's going to be crucial
towards the end of the race. Yeah,
it's going to be crucial with the track limits at the end of the race. With Nonemaker, collecting every bit, every few laps, some track limits. Sorry, I completely blunt here.
No, don't worry, it's all good. Yeah, I knew what you were getting at. Eric Nonemaker does seem to be picking them up relatively frequently at the moment, which he just can't afford to do. This is a track where it is difficult to stay within the track limits. I'm not denying that. I've driven my fair share of laps here across the F1 games and across LMU. And in all fairness, I have a hard enough time in LMU at the moment, keeping the car on track and facing the right direction. But that's a complete skill issue on my behalf. These guys all miles better than I could ever dream of being, as this battle's still raging on between Eric Nonemaker.
P2 on Hypercars. I think Ulrich dropped down to P3.
That latest yellow flag was for Thibaut Texera, who is now retired from the race. Not sure. There might have been contact with Frank Van Ginniken, who he was locked in a close battle with. But Frank hasn't really lost. He's not really lost any time to Davide Canton, so I don't think it is. It was contact. Well, I'd say he's not really lost any time. He's not lost more time than I would expect based on their pace difference at the moment. But that is a DNF for Thibaut Texera. And we've also lost Mathieu Bouquet. That was the yellow flag before. No, sorry, we saw the contact with Mathieu.
He was first lap.
I'm trying to piece together who's been involved in yellow flag incidents and where. But it's not particularly easy at the moment, as we see a big gap here in between Nicolas Ulrich and Mohamed Colombo, and also in between Mattia Previato and Stanislas Pajot. 26 seconds behind Mattia Previato at the moment, 6 seconds back to Paolo Ortu, who Mohamed Colombo is making an absolutely massive gain on so far during this race, which is, like I've said before and have said many times, is absolutely crucial for him in terms of staying inside the top 10. Not that I think he's going to use his not that I think he's going to use his guaranteed seat in the top 10. I think he's going to pre-qualify and try and do LMGT3 in the Ferrari 296. Because I have it on good authority from Mohamed Colombo at the moment that he does next to no practice for these races because he doesn't want to drive the Toyota. He spends all week driving the Ferrari 296 GT3 in the LMU daily races, and then practices for these races for about 15 minutes on a Friday afternoon before they actually begin, as far as I'm aware. At least that's what his race stats and all of his time on LMU seems to suggest to me. Obviously talking to him a lot in the LMU Discord, I know that he spends almost all of his time. As Eric Nonemaker's had another off-track moment, and it's going to be up the inside for Jean-Baptiste Thomas. There's a moment of contact between the two of them. Again, it's off track on the inside for Eric Nonemaker through turn number 7. But Jean-Baptiste Thomas back up to second position overall in LMGT3. And you've got to say, Daniel, I think that one was coming for a while. Once Eric Nonemaker got ahead, his pace seemed to kind of cap out, and he started making those relatively regular mistakes. And Jean-Baptiste Thomas has massively capitalised.
Yeah, surely. It was yeah. You're right.
Yeah, unfortunate for Eric. He was having a very good race. Again, a very good race, coming off the back of the win at Le Mans, which I definitely didn't forget about earlier. It was a race that he needed really to have another good race here as he tries to move up the order. As we've got another yellow flag, stayed out for a little while. Not sure who that might have been, but I would assume it. Who have we lost?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Eric Nonamaker out of this race. I was just talking about what a brilliant race he was having, and he's now out. If we could switch over to the LMGT3 timing tower, I believe it's been confirmed by us looking at the garages there, but if we could get the LMGT3 tower, that would be great.
And also on P3.
Canton in P3.
Yeah, okay.
Nonamaker. Yeah, so Nonamaker is on track. So Nonamaker is still on track. He's just had a massive moment somewhere, I think. Because unless he's in the pit lane and still being scored and still being timed, that'd be really weird. Because surely he should just go down as a DNF. If he's returned to the garage, he should go down as a DNF. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But he is falling down the order at roughly a second per second, which would indicate he's not moving. So, yeah, I believe that is a retirement then for Eric Nonamaker. It will have happened in the last few corners of the track, possibly caught out at one of those high-speed right-handers coming to the end of the lap, 12, 13 and 14. But that is really unfortunate for Eric. I was just talking about what a brilliant race he was having. And it was a race again, Daniel, that he really needed. You know, pushing towards that top 3. Really unfortunate.
Yeah, of course, it was even pushing to P2. As I said, P2 or P3 would have saved him the second spot in the standings, but with the retirement, it's of course not possible. So you got to be even more aware of the last 2 rounds of this championship to somehow secure his promotion spots.
Yeah, at minimum now for Eric Nonamaker, it's got to be damage limitation in the final 2 rounds just to stay inside the top 10 and keep his seat. That is the absolute minimum that he can do. And it's very, very difficult for him. That Ferrari is a good car at the moment. It is right up there in terms of the pace. It is the fastest car at a lot of tracks. But if you can't finish the race, it doesn't mean anything. As Philip Schlichting goes around the outside of Mohamed Colombo, this could be for P4 as they come through. I believe this is the double right-hander of 4 and 5. Indeed it is. Mohamed Colombo with the inside line, stays ahead for now. Does he run wide? No, he manages to keep it within track limits. Philip Schlichting dummies to the inside into turn 7. Into turn 6, sorry. Nothing going there. Mohamed Colombo a little bit of oversteer on the exit of turn 6 as they now come into the sweeping turn 7. This corner really important for the setup through the kink of turn 8, then the kink of turn 9, which turns into the braking zone for turn 10 quicker than you might want it to. And it's wide for Mohamed Colombo, surely picking up some track limits points there. Does it give Philip Schlichting a run into the final 3 corners? I don't believe it does. Not this time, and now they come up on lap traffic. Johan Evora, who has a 15-second lead in LMGT3 with just 12 minutes left of this race. Both of those hypercars get around Johan quite easily. Whoa! Massive rear locking for Philip Schlichting there, and that has put any sort of fire out of that battle for P4. Massive rear locking whilst going around the outside of the Porsche. And that drops him over a second away from the back of Mohamed Colombo. Looking at the virtual energy numbers, and Mohamed Colombo is the lowest of the lot, bar Stanislas Pajot. Stanislas Pajot with only 20% of his energy remaining. In a 40-minute race, will have started with about a full tank, because 40 minutes is about what these cars can do. And that means that he's using more than it means he's using more than 20% every 10 minutes. So that could be a worry for Stanislas Pajot, 19%. That is the fuel number, in fact, that we're seeing, not the virtual energy, but the fuel is obviously just as important. You can't run out of fuel because the car stops going quite quickly. So possibly a real worry for Stanislas Pajot here, as it looks like he's possibly not going to have the fuel to get to the end. We'll have to wait and see though. Obviously the fuel number is often different from the virtual energy number, as Mohamed Colombo makes a mistake coming out of turn 15. Philip Schlichting up the inside, this time doesn't get sideways under braking. That would have massively helped, and just managed to sit on the apex for long enough that Mohamed Colombo couldn't get an efficient switchback. But is that Toyota going to be fast enough in the slipstream for there to be a possible overtake? At the top end, Mohamed Colombo does have the higher top speed. He's on the inside for turn number 1, side by side into turn number 1. He manages to keep it tight on that apex. No chance of a switchback for Philip Schlichting. Still on the inside line is Mohamed Colombo into turn number 2, chopping off the nose of Philip Schlichting, who wasn't alongside into the braking zone. And that was a great little battle there between the two of these, which is looking like it's going to continue raging, Daniel.
Yeah, what a great battle. I'm out of luck. I can't believe it. It's extremely intense right now, so I hope that there won't be any contact again involving the last 10 minutes of this race, but this is looking extremely thrilling to watch.
Yeah, really thrilling watch here between Mohamed Colombo and Philip Schlichting. Obviously both of these drivers looking to maintain their seats inside the top 10, as there's also a battle now between Andrea Braviato and Nicholas Ulrich, and that's all because they got held up by, I believe, that is Craig Foreman, because he's the only number 46 BMW left out on track that isn't running the wet livery, and that's a spin. Oh! How on earth has Craig Foreman avoided that? Robin de Poirot spinning back across the track, but managing crucially to avoid Craig Foreman, as we've now got Davide Canton back up into third, and he's chasing down Jean-Baptiste Thomas. That gap only 4 seconds with 9 minutes left of this race. Philip Schlichting still looking to get past Mohamed Colombo, and it has all kicked off in the last few minutes of this race. Wide again from Mohamed Colombo at turn 15. This time he manages to hold the inside line against Philip Schlichting, but will Philip Schlichting be able to get the cut back? No, he won't, Daniel.
No, he won't. But it's an up and down every lap. It's always a new thing. So it's another one. I was confused. I thought it was the onboard from Colombo and Schlichting.
No, this time it's the Toyota chasing the Ferrari rather than the other way around. Andrea Braviato ahead of Nicholas Ulrich. Whoa, sorry, I thought there was going to be contact there. Nicholas Ulrich was very late on the brakes into turn number 6. I was worried there was going to be a little bit of contact there between the two of them, but they managed to keep it all going in a straight line and keep it safe.
And there's a yellow flag somewhere.
Yeah, yellow flag, not sure who. It's disappeared relatively quickly, and I can't see anyone losing time on the Hypercar relative at the moment. My guess would be that it was probably possibly Robin de Poirot, I believe it was, who is now very much struggling in that number 82 TF Sport Corvette. You see just all over the place. I don't think there's much left on the tyres on that Corvette, unfortunately, as he goes round yet again, Robin de Poirot, and those rear tyres are massively overheating. Just needs to get it to the end of the race though, because it would be a P6 finish for him no matter what. Whoa! As that's Philip Schlichting and Mohamed Colombo going around the outside somewhat dramatically of Craig Foreman. Mohamed Colombo running wide yet again as Philip Schlichting tries desperately to get past.
Really great battle these two deliver today. That's crazy.
Yeah, it has been absolutely ridiculous, the battle between these two so far. And it doesn't look like it's likely to slow down before the end of this race. 7 minutes left, and this gap still as close as it has been throughout the last kind of 10 minutes or so of this race. And it is all kicking off. Still very, very close is Philip Schlichting behind Mohamed Colombo. As we're looking at the leader gaps now, you can see that battle between Mattia Braviato and Nicholas Ulrich has just cooled off a little bit. That gap opening up closer to a second between second and third in Hypercar. But this battle here is still lightning hot. Philip Schlichting trying to find his way up the order. There's not going to be a move there into turn 7, I can guarantee you that much. It's too high speed. But Mohamed Colombo almost wide again, having to cut himself out the throttle on the exit of turn number 7 there, so that he didn't run wide into turn 8. And again, some of these drivers I think really having to think about their track limit situation, which is why we're seeing drivers lifting out the throttle, kind of cutting out the throttle early in some of those corners where you are likely to pick up an issue, as it's 2 seconds now the gap at the top end of the Hypercar field, and I believe that means that Nicholas Ulrich has had an off-track moment. Might have been the cause of that last yellow flag, do we think, Daniel?
Yeah, surely. It's, I think, Ulrich by now has settled and is fine with P3 as far as it gets, so he's just don't want to risk anything, no drive-through, no spin, and no more risk in the last remaining 5 minutes and 12 seconds of this race. As we see Mohamed Colombo and Schlichting again battling out into turn 1. Colombo goes through on the outside and maybe gets switched back by Schlichting. No, he's not.
And Mohamed Colombo managing to fire it all the way around the outside at turn number 1. A strategy that we've seen a couple of drivers try in the past, both in Formula 1 and in WEC, as they're now side by side into turns number 4 and 5. Mohamed Colombo, I would expect, will come out in the lead here just due to the nature of that double right-hand corner. And I think he has, yes he has, he is ahead of Philip Schlichting. That battle raging hot at the moment, although Mohamed Colombo looked like he might have been wide through turn number 6. Philip Schlichting maybe now can make this move into turn number 7. It would be brave if he did. He doesn't quite manage to get it done. Mohamed Colombo braking later and sweeping in from the outside to claim that apex ahead of the 499P of Philip Schlichting. And these guys are going to watch out, because all of this battling is bringing, as we just cut away before he sneaks in the background a shot, but it's bringing Mattia Previato almost back into this battle again. Whilst Philip Schlichting and Mohamed Colombo are fighting so hard, Mattia has been able to catch up, even with that relatively damaged Ferrari on that front end. He's still managing to catch. Also catching is Davide Canton. Catching Jean-Baptiste Thomas. That gap has come down from 4.4 seconds to less than a second now, with 3.5 minutes left to go. That's only going to be, we're only going to get, I think, that will make it 2 more laps in this race, depending on where the leader in the Hypercar field is, and obviously where the leader in the LMGT3 field is. But it'll be, I believe, at least 2 more laps.
Yeah, should be.
Possibly 3. But I don't think it'll be 3. Right behind. In 2 different classes. One battle is for the podium position, 2nd and 3rd. The other battle is for 4th and 5th, but points that are so dearly needed by both of these drivers. Is that Eric Nonamaker back out on track?
It is?
It is. He's 4 laps down. But Eric Nonamaker is back out on track, and I'm not quite sure how he's done that. Because it looked to me like he'd returned to the garage. Maybe he'd just driven into the garage and wasn't actually retired, and that's why he was just losing time rather than being registered as a DNF.
Maybe. Or he disconnected. It's possible.
Possibly. I really don't know. I don't think. I think once you've disconnected, I don't think you can rejoin the session. We'll stop our speculation about that though, because these battles on track are not only red hot, but are about to come across each other. Davide Canton and Jean-Baptiste Thomas, now only just at the other end of this front straight, that Mohamed Colombo and Philip Schlichting are roaring down at, kind of 60 or 70 kilometers an hour higher top speed than these LMGT3s can achieve. So these 2 battles are about to pass each other. In fact, we might just see the Hypercars. There they are, ripping through turn 1 in the background. Davide Canton wants to get this move done on Jean-Baptiste Thomas before the Hypercars get to them. But there's a chance that the Hypercar traffic here could actually benefit Davide Canton, depending on where it catches them. Mohamed Colombo showing himself in the mirrors of Davide Canton there, just letting him know that he's nearby, not able to get through yet, and that could be crucial. Is Philip Schlichting able to get some sort of undercut through the GT3 traffic? I don't think he is. Mohamed Colombo out of turn number 6 is still ahead of Philip Schlichting, and crucially Davide Canton has lost some crucial seconds there. And Philip Schlichting now losing some time as well behind Jean-Baptiste Thomas as he gets stuck on the outside going through turn 7 and out over the runoff in turn 8, and again likely picking up some track limits points as Mattia Previato now has to find his way through this LMGT3 traffic as well, which he'll do quite comfortably on the exit of turn number 10 and through turn number 11. Still hunting is Philip Schlichting to get that position. And there is going to be one more lap. The leaders in both classes have already taken the flag, not the flag, sorry, have taken the flag for the final lap, that is, have crossed the line with enough time to get another lap done. And it's Davide Canton on the final lap in LMGT3, going to go for this move into turn 1. He's there, there's massive contact. Jean-Baptiste Thomas turning across him almost as if he's not there. Is Jean-Baptiste Thomas going to fight on the inside of turn number 2? He just hangs there for long enough for Davide Canton to need to leave him the room and gets back ahead. What a brilliant fight here.
Mathieu Bessin is about to take the checkered flag to win the Qatar round of the VMS Contender Series with a great gap of 15 and 8 seconds, I believe.
Yeah, a massive win for Matteo Bessin, picking up yet another win here, followed home by Andrea Previato and Nicholas Ulrich, in a result that I believe will put Andrea Previato back into the top 3, or consolidate his top 3. I can't remember whether he's in or out, or if it was Mathieu Bouquet who'd snuck into the top 3.
Yeah, he was. He was P3.
So here we go. Mohamed Colombo. Is Philip Schlichting going to get him on the run towards the line here? It's going to be close. No, Mohamed Colombo takes P4. Philip Schlichting taking home P5 in the end, as Johan Avora is surely going to be crossing the line any second now. In fact, he's already crossed the line. We missed that. Oh, I feel really bad about that. Johan Avora in his first ever win here in the Virtual Motorsport Series, in the BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split. In second place is going to be Jean-Baptiste Thomas. He managed to hold off a charging Davide Canton, back from 8th up to 3rd at the end of the race here for Davide Canton. And Frank van Ginneken is going to finish 4th overall. That's going to bring home for him 15 points. That could be, 12 points even. That is absolutely massive for Frank van Ginneken in his aim to get back into the top 10 in the LMGT3 standings in this championship. That is really, really crucial. And we will now wait and see if we pick up any silver drivers looking to do an interview at the end of this race. I hope there might be at least a couple, as there have been some drivers who have had really, really good results here this evening, but we will have to wait and see if anyone wants to come and talk to us. But first, we've got the end of race standings. So it's Matteo Bessin who takes home the win ahead of Andrea Previato and Nicholas Ulrich. It's a P4 finish for Mohamed Colombo, just ahead of Philip Schlichting, who he'd been fighting with for the majority of the tail end of that race. Mattia Previato finishes in 6th after damage from contact with Mathieu Bouquet messed up the front end of his Ferrari 499P and made it a difficult last 20 minutes or so. Stanislas Pajot finished 2nd and the last man on the lead lap, as Paolo Ortu was lapped just towards the end of the race there by our race leader and comes home 8th and the last hypercar to finish. Johan Avora, as we said, takes his first win in the Virtual Motorsport Series BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split. An absolutely brilliant race from the Porsche man. Sees him finish, I believe the final gap was about 20 seconds ahead of Jean-Baptiste Thomas, who finished ahead of Davide Canton, who after an early spin that we didn't catch on the cameras was down in 8th and managed to fight back to 3rd in the last 25 minutes of the race. Frank van Ginneken finishes 4th, a brilliant result for him as he aims to get inside the top 10, and this result I believe would see him do that. It's 5th for Craig Foreman, who's also aiming to do the same. Those 10 points that he picks up doing a massive boost for his championship results. Robin de Prouron with a lot of spins towards the end of the race after cooking his tyres in a couple of spins with about 20 minutes to go means that he finishes only in 6th, ahead of Eric Nonemacher, who we believe might have had some sort of technical issue into the garages. I believe he drove into and stopped in the garage by himself and then rejoined the race at a later date. Finishes 6 laps down, but crucially took the checkered flag, meaning he scores points for 7th. And Thibaut Texera admitting himself that this is not his best track in the silver chatter here, unfortunately DNFing and rounding out the GT3 field. So we will just see if we are going to get anyone in for an interview. I'm just pinging over the interview waiting room channel to the team so that they can see.
We get Colombo also. Should I just move in?
Why is Mohamed Colombo joined for a... Yeah, I'll drag Mohamed Colombo up. Here we go.
Yeah.
So we are now going to talk to Mohamed Colombo, who finished a brilliant 4th in the Hypercar field here in his number 7 Toyota after, you've got to say, Mohamed, a ridiculously intense battle with Philipp Schlichting across the last kind of 15-20 minutes of that race.
Yeah, he had me on my toes for like the entire race. Made a few mistakes on the pressure, but kept it together up until the line.
Yeah, it was really tight to the line. I thought there was a chance that Philipp had actually got the run on you coming around that final corner. It was one of the Corvettes that you were just behind, I think Robin de Prouron, who kind of half held you up through the final corner. And it looked like Philipp had the run on you, but he couldn't quite get there in the end. And after trading positions so many times in that last 15 minutes, it must have been nervous for you on that run to the line.
Oh yeah, he had a start oversteer, so I had to tap my brakes a little bit. So
yeah, a really, really intense race, but one that has fallen massively your way here in Qatar and means that you are now solidly inside the top 10 in the Hypercar field, which means you will be able to keep your seat here for Season 3 in the Hypercar field if you'd like. But I have a tickling feeling that we might see you do a class switch for Season 3. Will I be right in that thinking?
maybe, but I'm thinking about the Ferrari 499. I'm faster than that, but we'll see.
He's such a Ferrari man. He's such a Ferrari man. It's actually ridiculous. Almost
Indeed, I am.
exclusively. The 499P or the 296. I'm pretty sure the only time you drive something that isn't a Ferrari at the moment is surely VMS, right?
Yep.
yeah. I'm not surprised by that at all. So looking forward to the penultimate round of the season, round 7 in Bahrain in 2 weeks' time. Do you think that's going to be another track where hopefully you'll be able to pick up some decent points and maybe be able to move yourself further into that top 10 and be confident that you're going to be able to retain your seat?
If the top 2 crash out again, yeah, but I don't think so. I'm not really good at Bahrain.
No, it's a difficult track, low grip, out in the desert. You'd think it would be similar at Qatar, but obviously Bahrain is known for having a relatively low grip surface.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tire degradation.
Daniel, do you have any questions for Mo before we let him go?
I don't know, but I would like to thank him for this quite entertaining battle he had for like 20 minutes. It was really nice to see you and Schlichting battle it out on track. It was, I would say, tidy and clean, all well around. So yeah, thank you for entertaining you and for the entertainment you delivered to us.
No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mo, and I wish you the best of luck in 2 weeks' time in Bahrain.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
So I think next, let's work our way up the order in LMGT3, shall we? So next we will talk to Jean-Baptiste Thomas, who had an absolutely incredible race, coming back from, I believe it was 4th on the grid, alongside Robin de Prouron, ended up finishing P2, only just ahead of Davide Canton, who was on an incredible comeback charge. Jean-Baptiste, it must have been a little bit scary seeing Davide Canton appear in your kind of rear view mirrors with the absolute ridiculous pace that he had towards the end of that race.
Yeah. I have no pace on this race because I learned again the track. So it was a really difficult race. So I push the maximum when I can, and I try to keep some guys behind me for securing some point.
Yeah, absolutely. You did a brilliant job of it, I've got to say. And obviously, things kind of falling your way in terms of the issues that a couple of other drivers had. But a P2 for you here is absolutely massive. Means that you not only kind of secure that top 10, but also are continuing to push towards the top 3 and possible promotion for season 3 as well. Is that something that you've got your sights on at the moment, or are you content with kind of keeping your seat here in the silver split?
Yeah. Is the objective for the next season to take the best split, gold or platinum split. So I keep pushing for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel, do you have any questions for Jean-Baptiste?
I don't know, but again, still a job on your defensive P2 in the last 2 laps, defending from David Canton. I'm sure it was not easy, especially in last lap, the turn 1 kind of contact you had there. I'm sure you were all very full of adrenaline, so yeah.
Yeah, a little bit adrenaline. I have no grip at all. Full understeer, full oversteer in all race. So it was very difficult for me to keeping the car on track. But I securing the position. So it was a victory for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward 2 weeks' time, we are going to Bahrain for another sprint race. Do you think that might be a track where possibly the Corvette, obviously quite naturally oversteery, on a low grip surface like Bahrain, do you think it might suffer a little bit?
For the Corvette, I don't know again what setup I can make, but I think the car was is okay for the track. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and
Yes.
I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again come the end of the Bahrain race.
Yes, me too.
Thank you, mate. Have a good one.
Thank you.
In a bit. And now, for the first time in the Virtual Motorsport Series, we are talking to race winner Johan Evora. Johan, how does that feel for you? An absolutely incredible race in that Porsche.
It feels incredible. Like I trained all the week for that, and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, I can absolutely understand why. It has not been an easy season for you in that Porsche so far. Obviously received a hefty BOP kind of weight penalty just before the start of the season, but that has now come back your way, and that Porsche is back to being one of the best cars in the game. And that must just feel brilliant for you, because you've always had the raw pace to be able to fight at the front, but the Porsche has been holding you back. So to be able to show that this evening must have been really nice.
Yeah, exactly. This race I had a very good setup, and I could have a very good pace. So, and the BOP of the Porsche now is very good. So that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel, have you got any questions for Johan?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you got P1 pole. You got pole position. You led every race, every lap of this race. You finished P1, so it was in F1 terms kind of the grand slam. Do you think it's like the take-off point for the end of the season, so you can like pick up some places in the top standings? What are you thinking? Is this the like take-off point where your season will ramp up?
Yeah, I think so. I hope I finish the other race in a really good point like that too. So Bahrain is a circuit like I very like. So
All right.
Well, I wish you the best of luck for 2 weeks' time, Johan. Hopefully you can keep up the high pace that we saw from you in Qatar this evening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
yeah, thank you very much.
Have a nice
Thank
one.
you, Johan. And again, congratulations. Have a good rest of your evening. Well, Daniel, that brings to the end what I've got to say was a massively action-packed 40 minutes of Qatar sprint race here in the BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split. Even with a reduced grid this evening, that race was absolutely non-stop. Brilliant battles up and down the field. I hope you enjoyed that one, everyone who's watching, and I hope you enjoyed that one as well, Daniel, in my co-commentary position.
Surely it was a great race. These 2 or 3 battles we were watching, like the last 20 minutes of the race was really thrilling. We got everything. We got upsets, we got crazy race, we got the comeback of David Canton till the last lap. So this race had all we could have asked for.
Yeah, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, all around the world, that is going to be the end of our coverage here this evening for the Virtual Motorsport Series, BPTuning Contender Series, Silver Split, Qatar Sprint Race. However, that's not the end of the weekend here for the Virtual Motorsport Series. On Sunday evening, kicking off at 6:25 p.m, is the Platinum Split round number 6, which is at, which I believe is at Spa. Sorry, it is round number 6 at Spa. It's another sprint race for the guys in the Platinum Split, and there is a lot on the table, a lot of fighting in and around the top 10 and in and around the podium payout positions as well, with a $1,000 prize pool on the table. That could be absolutely massive. So tune in for that one, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of your evening.
Have a nice one, everyone.